What's up with the squad? Back with another video. I seen the titles going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me. Please, y'all see it right here. Elon Musk says there needs to be a criminal trial for Governor Tim Walz. Somebody named Kate commented and said, and Ellison, and Brown and Omar, the whole gang, right? Whole gang. Pretty wild. Not gonna lie, definitely pretty wild. So you have another post from Elon Musk. Says traitor Tim Walz. What are the odds Minnesota has been conquered? Did y'all see? If y'all don't know that, this is the old Minnesota flag and the new Minnesota flag definitely needs to be changed. They're asking, for it to be changed right back. And y'all know, from the looks of it, Elon is doing everything in his power to keep on shedding light on. The power of X is very, very strong. I'm telling y'all, very, very strong. This is, Elon said, wow. Y'all can find this post at Johnny Maga. Says Trump is posting Somali welfare usage rates in Minnesota. These numbers are pretty crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. So y'all have it here. This, I'm pretty sure, I can't really see the colors that well, but I guess it don't matter because it's really neck and neck. But these, the blue and the dark, the black and the blue you have here, Somali immigrant households with children, and then it has 10 years on here, and then you have native households with children. So the native households with children is at 30%, cash, and that's any welfare. Cash is at 6%, food stamps is at 10%, and Medicaid is at 28%. Then you go to the Somali immigrant households with children. 89%, 86% for any welfare. The cash is 23% and 21% with, that native household with children is 6%. It's a lot. And you got food stamps. Native household, 10%. All the way up, 62%, 54%, y'all. You got Medicaid, 28% for native households with children. And then, again, Somali immigrant, you have 80%, 86%, 83%. When I tell y'all that this is absolutely insane, y'all. It's absolutely insane and absolutely sickening of these numbers. Truly, I don't want to scroll too far because people be putting some crazy stuff. But when I tell y'all that it's truly insane, all you can say is wow. I mean, honestly, definitely sickening on the things that's going on, and I was about to say the things that's going on in Somalia. You might as well. Because that's truly what they're trying to turn it into, is Somalia. Says right here, it was just confirmed before Congress that 1,000 credible Minnesota whistleblowers, including Democrat employees of Tim Walz, are running an account on Elon Musk's X. Says they were ignored and intimidated, so they used the power of X. And I truly feel like, again, this again is what it is. It's the power of X. I continue to say it, because so many people have put, and shed that light. And you have other places that people obviously look at when it comes to Facebook, when it comes to obviously, TikTok and YouTube, Instagram, this, that, and other. But X is truly where there's so many things that's out and so many things, that, it's a way, and I'm so glad that they shed a light, onto this, and that they could go, on X, and speak of it. Check it out right here.
Working on this issue for years. You've spoken to the whistleblowers personally. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have an understanding that 1,000 whistleblowers running an account on X have come forward to expose fraud in Minnesota state agencies, and they have been entirely ignored by Tim Walz and have even been retaliated against. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Even this morning, I got another message.
Well, in your experience, are their claims credible, or are they politically motivated against Walz?
They're completely credible, not politically motivated.
In fact, many of these are Walz administration employees, correct?
They are actually Democrats as well.
Can you quickly give us one example of the retaliation these folks have been facing?
Yes, I can. In my opening statement, I mentioned that the most severe ones was that they would be fired with cause, so they couldn't have unemployment insurance, that they would be blacklisted from all state agencies, and I bet that it's also Hennepin County and Ramsey County, as you know, those are Democrat-run, and more, much more.
Based on what you've learned, Representative, over the last several years, do you have any doubt that Governor Tim Walz knew about this fraud as it was occurring?
He absolutely knew that it was occurring.
Insane. Definitely insane. And it's sad enough that you had individuals that couldn't speak. You even had individuals, you know, and it's pretty sad to even say this, but you had individuals that literally worked, you know, obviously, you know, you had these individuals that worked for telling. There's probably, you know, a couple that's left, you know, and probably couldn't take it, you know, probably didn't want any part of it. But you had individuals that literally had to be there, you know, for that, you know, and had to work and see on how bad, you know, you sitting there and you get paid this. You literally have, just imagine it though. Just imagine the simple fact that you literally struggling, you getting up in the morning, going to work every day, literally doing everything you possibly can for yourself, for your children, you know, for your family. And you had these Somalians that ain't doing nothing. And they riding around in brand new cars, jewelry, clothes, assistance on living, food stamps. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Says right here, the Minnesota legislative auditor confirms Tim Walz employees fabricated records to cover up fraud. They did 0 site visits to locations that receive hundreds of millions of taxpayers' dollars per year.
This was definitely the most egregious thing I have seen, maybe in my whole time working at OLA.
Office of the Legislative Auditor released a damning report finding state employees fabricating records to cover up mismanagement of money. Tax money. It's another black eye for the State Department of Human Services.
27 years with the Office of the Legislative Auditor, a statement like that from Judy Randall means something. After past suspicions, she says her most recent audit proved state workers were fabricating documents to cover up mismanagement of taxpayer money.
So these documents should exist. They didn't. We asked for them. All of a sudden, they now exist. And in at least one case, it was created wholesale and backdated by 2 years to give the impression that it had always been there and been done on time.
The OLA audited the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services, which issues grants, nearly $200 million of taxpayer money each year to addiction and mental health service providers. But the audit found BHA was not making sure those providers were doing the work.
BHA didn't conduct the site visits. Our auditors went and conducted the site visits that BHA should have done. And we identified serious concerns that services weren't being provided.
One of the grants examined by OLA was $1.6 million issued to the Wellness Collaborative through Zion Baptist Church in North Minneapolis. According to the OLA report, BHA didn't have documentation to give auditors to show that the services were rendered. What's more, the audit says the grant manager directly profited by leaving BHA and months later providing consulting services to the Wellness Collaborative for the grant she managed, which Randall says is not illegal.
But I think it raises a bunch of ethical questions at the very least.
Representatives at Zion strongly dispute what BHA and DHS told the auditors. They tell KARE 11 DHS sought them out for the grant. They provided services which DHS workers witnessed. They gave DHS documentation, and they say now they believe they're being scapegoated. The former grant manager told KARE 11 any wrongdoing falls squarely on DHS.
Conduct a monitoring visit to make sure the services are actually being provided. These aren't rocket science types of things.
Perhaps most frustrating, this was the second audit of the Behavioral Health Administration, and many of the problems found were repeat problems.
What is it like to see these problems, make these recommendations, and nothing is done to fix it?
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Governor Tim Walz's office says they're grateful for the auditor for her work and for identifying these serious issues. And Democratic Senator Melissa Wickland, who chairs the Health and Human Services,
done to fix it.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Governor Tim Walz's office says they're grateful for the auditor for her work and for identifying these serious issues. And Democratic Senator Melissa Wickland, who chairs the Health and Human Services Committee, says that it's clear that DHS has not taken actions to fix these problems as they had portrayed to the.
I just had to make sure I heard that right, y'all. One thing about it, I'm not even gonna lie. One thing about this whole thing is, and this is me, you know, obviously, again, being real. Lock them up. Honestly, lock them up when it comes to Tim Walz. Like, this is insane to me. It's truly, truly insane. One thing about it is that they will never take accountability. They'll never take accountability. Continue to lie on top of lies on top of lies. One thing about it, and this is great news, is that the IRS is now stepping in because Tim Walz Minnesota laws go easy on the fraudsters. Check it out.
Does not want to do investigations. So we just want the facts. We want to see where they lead, and we want to put the bad guys in jail. And this is all about incentives. And one of the other problems, what I would say is the third problem here, are the incentives. You could steal hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and under the Minnesota laws, you might not even get jail time. You might get a series of paroles. So what's the incentive? Well, you just have a bad file down at the courthouse, but you got $10 million in the bank. There are plenty of people who would take that incentive all day. But I can tell you that we have the ability to bring in IRS enforcement, and they don't monkey around. So the incentive is going to be to stop this.
I'm telling y'all, one thing about it, as we move forward each and every day when talking about, what's going on in Minnesota, while, the government, why the Trump administration, why these independent journalists, while they're doing what they're doing and moving forward, Tim Walz and his crew is definitely moving, behind. They're moving behind and backwards. And I say that because they're doing a lot within telling on themselves when it comes down to it. They're telling on themselves. And I'm absolutely here for it. When they're not saying anything and, they're clearly not saying anything, when they're lying and not taking accountability and they blaming everything on Trump, people are starting to catch on. People are definitely starting to catch on and question, the things that's going on within them. Says, will Tim Walz be responsible if a person, really, truly, it does something? I gotta watch what I say. I can't say that. Does something worse than what happened, with Renee. He's not doing nothing but inciting more and more violence.
Order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community, they're business owners, they're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans.
So while Tim Walz is trying to use the National Guard on ICE agents, you have Jacob Fry, you got Elon Omar, you have everybody. You literally have Jacob Fry lying everywhere possible. And I mean everywhere possible, y'all, that he speaks it. And he's not doing nothing but lying, obviously not taking accountability, but inciting more and more violence. Then you got Elon Omar in the streets inciting. I showed y'all a video. Check out my last video I posted. If y'all ain't checked that out, literally inciting more violence. It's definitely disgusting. Truly disgusting. This right here is just on CNN. Says Americans are demanding the arrest of Jacob Fry and Tim Walz after inciting, this violence. these individuals, protesters, are going hotel to hotel in Minneapolis, stalking out where they think ICE will stand, and literally trying to get inside. Literally trying to get inside, y'all. That's how bad this stuff has gotten. Not to mention they think, where they're staying and stuff like that. They're literally tracking. They have a group message, and they're tracking where these agents are, y'all. That's how bad it is.
So, Laura, right now we are in downtown Minneapolis. We've been following this protest outside of a hotel where these protesters believe federal agents may be staying. And just in the last few seconds, it appears they're trying to get actually inside this hotel. You can see this ramp that they were all around me a few seconds ago, and now they're up this ramp. I can see a door open to this particular hotel, and you can see and hear how much noise they're actually making right now. Earlier, they were shining lights on some of the windows, truly making as much noise as humanly possible to this point, banging on drums, blowing their whistles, out with their signs as well. This is at least the second hotel they have been to in the downtown Minneapolis area, appearing to be under the belief that agents are staying at the hotels at which they arrive. Now, again, you can hear the drums, but I can't emphasize enough, it was just a few seconds ago, as we're going to get closer to this ramp to see what we did in this area a little bit earlier. When you look at the size, it actually isn't the overall biggest that we've seen, but you actually see here they've climbed a ladder of this other little vestibule here.
Imagine there's no ICE agents in there and they just getting on people's nerves. The crazy thing about this is that, first of all, these individuals, don't y'all got like kids at home? Like, don't y'all got something to do? Do they have, well, I guess I was about to ask a dumb question. I was about to say, do they have jobs? But a lady actually answered it for us. Laura Ingram actually asked the question and said, yes, I'm doing it now. And gave it out there to where they're being paid. I've also seen that they've obviously, and there's a video, so y'all can go check that video out, that they're being bussed in. I'm telling y'all, it's literally crazy. Literally crazy. This Christy Noel tells CNN that Tim Walz and Jacob Fry need to grow up.
Department of Justice, not DHS. But officials are saying the Department of Justice is not working with them. Should they be working with the locals?
I would say that these locals, if you look at what Governor Walz has said, if you look at what Mayor Fry has said, they've extremely politicized and inappropriately talked about this situation on the ground in their city. They've inflamed the public. They've encouraged the kind of destruction and violence that we've seen in Minneapolis the last several days, and I would encourage them to grow up, get some maturity, act like people who are responsible, who want people to be safe, and the right thing be done. When you use the kind of language that you use against law enforcement officers, they lose their credibility.
You've also been Department of
Definitely need to grow up, I'll tell you that much. They definitely need to grow up. Definitely need to grow up. Because what they're doing isn't right. What they're doing isn't right whatsoever. Telling people to go out, telling people to and having people. Again, in that last video, and I should have showed it in this video, but that last video I showed, and having individuals, y'all, literally having individuals go and they set them up. They put them in these yellow vests, these yellow-green vests. And they say, to basically challenge ICE agents. It's pretty wild. I'm telling y'all, definitely wild. You got here, Border Commander Greg Bovino reveals in just 3 days in Minnesota, says we've had over 20 assaults on officers. But in a red Louisiana, 1 assault in 30 days. In 30 days. It's been 3 days and there's been 20 assaults in Minnesota, y'all. It's pretty wild. Says Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Fry is definitely responsible. Check it out.
At that store is something that has become very common here in Minneapolis and Minnesota. And we do talk about that. But one of the things that we talked about that I want you and the viewers to know is this is an operation of contrasts. As you know, we just got back from Louisiana, from that fantastic operation in Louisiana. This didn't happen in Louisiana. Violence did not happen in Louisiana. The fantastic leadership of Governor Landry, Colonel Hodges from the Highway Patrol. But we're here in Minneapolis. Let me give you a statistic here, Martha. Well over 20 assaults on federal officers in 3 days here in Minnesota. In Louisiana, I counted 1 for that entire 30-day operation. So a vast contrast. I can only think that Governor Walz and Mayor Fry, you just had Mayor Fry's speech on there, they're responsible for what you saw in that store yesterday and for that violence that our federal officers confront every single day here in Minneapolis.
So you literally have these individuals, Governor Tim Walz, Mayor Fry, that are truly, instead of calming, everyone down, y'all don't need to be out here. First of all, it's cold. It's freezing outside. But y'all out here causing destruction. Y'all blocking traffic. People got to get to work. People got to get to school. They got to do this and got to do that. Y'all keeping up noise at these hotels and in the city. Like, I truly just don't get that whatsoever. They are to be the blame. This is from House Republicans. Y'all can go find this. X says $9 billion in stolen taxpayer money. Under Tim Walz's leadership, Minnesota has become a hub of crime and fraud. Stealing money that should have been going to Americans, children, and the needy. Tim Walz should be ashamed. And I definitely agree and love this. I'm not even going to lie. Definitely agree and love it. You got here, which is, again, great news before I end the video off. It says, sources say there are over 1,000 additional agents, that will be in Minnesota for deportation operations. So definitely great news.
Tensions between federal and local officials in Minneapolis mounting over the weekend after an ICE agent shot and killed mother of 3, Renee Good. More than 1,000 demonstrations were planned across the country this weekend. Protesters demanding justice for Renee Good while calling for the removal of ICE agents from their communities. In just a few minutes, Minnesota officials expected to hold a news conference. We'll bring that to you. State officials have told CNN the Justice Department has blocked local investigators from participating in what was initially going to be a joint FBI and state criminal investigation. Sources also tell CNN that around 1,000 additional Customs and Border Protection agents are expected to deploy to Minneapolis. That's on top of the 2,000 federal agents that were sent in last week. CNN senior national correspondent Ryan Young is joining us now from the ground in Minneapolis. Ryan.
And that's the end of that video. But one thing about it is, maybe people do feel some type of way that additional 1,000. I don't. I truly feel like it's needed. It's definitely needed because of what they're doing. It could have all been simple, letting them do what they need to do, letting them do their jobs instead of you people being all in and y'all know what I'm talking about. No, I ain't go there with me. The individuals that are literally out in the streets causing all this mess for no reason. Truly insane to me. Y'all hit the like button, hit that subscribe, and let me know y'all comments, thoughts on this video. Enough of me talking, y'all. Y'all already know. I know a lot of y'all don't like when I talk too much. But definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.